In another life, in a different industry, I had invested in coaching and I grew a ton in that industry, and I grew a lot personally as a result. And so I knew that it was something I should probably be looking into. Didn't really know where to start. I knew it was something that needed to happen. And Nick reached out to me on LinkedIn. And something about Nick, just kind of, I was like, I just paused for a second. I actually read what he had to say, and was talking about the mind scan. And I thought, I think that would be good. I've done like personality things in the past and always found them intriguing and helpful, but this was a little bit different twist to that, and so I thought, let me check this out. And so then I got to actually connect with Nick, and he reviewed my mind scan results, and there were some areas of opportunity. There were some areas I could, there were some things I was good at, and there was obviously some things I could improve on, right? There always is. But after talking with Nick, I just thought, man, I knew I needed to do something. It was a bit of a stretch for me financially, but if it's a stretch for me financially, that's probably all the more reason I should be doing it now, right? And because I knew I needed to step up my business. I was looking for something. I was having some success, but man, I was grinding. And I was having some fun too, but man, I was grinding. A year or two before I started coaching, where I was working and my focus wasn't where it needed to be. And I was working, but I wasn't seeing the results I wanted to have. And I was having some difficult conversations with my bosses, which put stress, a lot of stress on me personally, And I thought, boy, I don't ever want to go back to that spot. I want to ramp up my business to the spot where I can know I've got something, a great foundation to work on. But not only a great foundation, a system to actually take that foundation and build on it really in an effective way that was going to give me a solid business that I could see growth with. I think in a relationship when you're going to be meeting with someone and they're going to become somebody very important in your life. I mean, I've worked with Nick now for a few years, and I meet with him every Friday. If I'm on vacation, I am absolutely jumping on that call. That's how valuable it is to me. When you're working with someone that close, you gotta gel, I think. On top of being just like a really cool, likable person, I liked his experience. I think one of the other things, once I knew that I liked Nick as a person, and I thought that I could trust him with what I was trying to do, that he knew what he was doing, having the knowledge of having a system in place, like with Pro Advisor Coach, having the website that we go on, and I'm saying what's most important for my business at different times, and I can tweak it. And he's helping me track that and stay accountable to what I say is important for my business. That's an approach that's a bit more than a lot of any coaching that I had done in the past, because this is one-on-one. This is really driving results, not only business, but personally as well. And there's times when I couldn't even talk business because I was just going through a lot personally. And in that time, man, he was like a therapist to me. In those times where I was struggling, whether it was in business or whether it was personally or something going on in my life that was taking my mind away from where I knew that it needed to be, he was able to, even if I was in the trenches of it, he was able to set my mind so that my perspective was elevated. I was coming at things from a different perspective. And man, that different perspective, by going into some difficult times, I'm thinking of on a personal level, had I not been going in with an optimal perspective, Results could have really, on a personal level, there could have been some fractured relationships and in a number of ways. Nick has a way of elevating my mindset and my perspective. If I'm working at an optimal pace, he's going to take me a step up. If I'm in a different space that needs work on, he's going to set me right back on track, you know? And so that's, I know that's what I get with Nick. I was a couple of years out from a tough year for me. I had set my best record at that time, which was great. I was feeling good about the results of my business. Wasn't feeling so good about, having a system in place to make that happen again and have it grow from there. It was kind of like a hope, like, man, I'm doing this. I hope things work out. I hope I'm doing the right things, but I knew it could be a lot more. I knew it could be so much better. I'm always thinking of, hey, is there an opportunity here where I could invest some money and see a return, right? Well, look, if this is my business and this is my bread and butter, and my bread and butter is gonna feed me the resources so that I can get other things like real estate over time and build something there. If that's gonna feed me and my family, well, shouldn't that be where I'm investing first and foremost? If I'm paying that every month, better believe I'm gonna actually take some action and work it, right? From a business perspective, results have been phenomenal. I had just come off of my best year and I had done about just a little over $60 million in business, which was my best year ever. That was great. My first year with coaching, it jumped up to 72 million in business, which was phenomenal. I was so pumped about that. I'm like, now I've got some things are happening here. By the way, what started out as my main concern was, what's my ROI on this investment? I got to get my money back on this. Absolutely did that. And then last year I had I came in at 83, which was, we had a challenging year, but still with a lot of challenges, when some of my counterparts were struggling more than I was able to maintain and still come out at one of my best years ever. Aside from the results, my business as a whole, the structure of it is it's so much more solid. I've got a foundation that I can build on, that I know what is working, where to spend my time and energy and resources, where my mind needs to be and focused on business-wise and personally. A lot to do, a lot to handle, and I could easily let that consume my life, right? But I've also got a wife and 3 kids and schedules and sports and you name it. Like, there's a lot to do there too. So I'm able to actually be more effective with my time than I was ever before and drive more results than I could ever before, and feel good about actually taking time to go spend with family. And that, to me, has an enormous amount of value as well. I guess the fear initially was, I'm spending out all this money, right? I hope it's worth it, right? We all know hope's not a strategy. So what can I do on my end? It's put in the work, show up, put in the work, and do what I have committed to do with Nick. When I'm showing up on a weekly basis, like I meet with Nick, on a weekly basis, it's kind of hard to have a bad month, or a bad quarter, right? When I'm meeting that often. I feel like I'm a different person than I was a few years ago, in a better way. I almost don't recognize myself from a few years ago. I'm about 45, 50 pounds lighter. I'm much more in shape. I had this audacious goal of doing 100,000 push-ups last year, and I ended up doing it. I came in at 100,300, and Nick was holding me to that too, and so I think one of the biggest shifts has been always looking for the good in something, even though I may be in the trenches going through something really tough. Nick could say, okay, what's great about that? Man, Nick, nothing's great about that. It sucks, right? And he'd just be quiet. I don't know. If there was going to be anything good, it might be this. Well, and then it might be, I guess I could do, well, now I got a plan, So he always starts off every call with, what do we celebrate? And that was a shift too, because I'd come in and I'd be like, well, I wanted to do this initially. Oh, I wanted to do this, but I didn't. And no. What do we celebrate? We build on a success. And so I've tried to, implement that. I mean, that's just kind of my default anymore, building off of successes. And one of the other shifts in my mindset has been, it's really the pursuit of the goal is the biggest objective for me now, versus hitting a specific goal. It's the pursuit. It's the relentless pursuit towards the goal versus the actual goal. When you hit a big goal, you may have worked and trained for months, and then you hit that goal and you get to enjoy it for a few moments, and then it's done. But if you can enjoy the journey, the process of getting in there and knowing that you're doing what you need to do day in and day out, you're in the game. Now you can feel good day in and day out. And guess what? If you don't feel good on one day, okay, guess what? You probably know the next day you need to do a little something different, right? Get back in the game. And not to beat ourselves up when we don't do things, just get back in the game. And that's what I'd say that Nick has really worked with me a lot on that, and recognizing really what I'm good at, collaborating that with my goals and activities, Nick he's become a good friend of mine, but at the same time, I mean, just a valuable partner in my life, business, personally. Like, my life is better on so many levels. So whether they're working with Nick or another coach, I'd encourage them to have somebody that's gonna hold them accountable and really continually elevate them and mandate that they're stepping up their game. If someone wants to coach you for free, that's nice, that's kind, that's great. You're probably not gonna get a whole lot of value out of it. Not anything wrong with that coach, but if you don't have any skin in the game, you're not gonna apply yourself the way you would if you've got some skin in the game. So I would suggest, put some money out there, invest in yourself, make it real. I like Pro Advisor Coach. I've worked with some of the other coaches while Nick has been gone. Some other coaches would fill in, and they're all great. But I mean, having a system like Pro Advisor Coach with the website and everything to really help keep us where we need to be is, I think that's really helpful as well. So one of the things Nick always talks about is write your own story. If you don't write your story, somebody else is going to write it for you. You write your story based on what you think is most important. And man, I think if somebody has got the courage to do that, man, life just gets a lot more fun, a lot more interesting, a lot more enjoyable.